What is up, everybody? It is Crux here with Crux of Crypto, and we have a glorious green day today. This is a long-awaited day that we've been needing for a while to be able to show the bears that the bulls are not done putting up a fight. This market has been brutal. As of late, we retraced from about a $4.3 trillion market cap, sitting almost $1 trillion worth of liquidity in the past month, evaporated into the markets. And I'm here to tell you, it's not over yet. So I'm continuing to hodl my crypto. You can see it on my hat. Just hodl it. Shout out Nike. Nike, if you want to sponsor me, I got some opening positions. But I got a poll also running for you guys right over there. Check over in the comments and make sure, what do you guys want to check out today? I'm starting to branch out a little bit, starting to talk about technical analysis, fundamentals, deep dives into projects, gems. I'm bringing it all, and you can find it here on Crux of Crypto. So I see a lot of OGs in chat. Shout out JR. I saw you over in Tim's channel earlier, and if you didn't know, Tim is now streaming Tuesday and Thursday, same days I'm streaming as well, just about an hour before my cast. He'll go live for about 20 minutes, and it's just a market update. And then also Monday, Wednesday, Friday, he's still continuing that same rhythm that he's been doing. So we've been crushing over there on that channel, and this channel here has been crushing it as well. So we are as strong as our supporters, and you guys have been doing very well supporting us. So we see Frederick. Could we possibly check out XCL, brother? It's my favorite low cap privacy gem. XCL, right? Yeah, we'll see. How about we'll go off the polls, because I don't want to disrespect all the people that are voting right now. But if low cap gems wins the poll, I'll make sure, Frederick, that you get your pick. We got Victor in the house. Go, go, go. And then Kenny, let's get it. Peace, Crux in chat, and Crypto Sharknado. How could I forget you? Peace and love. All right. So I'm sure you guys want to jump right into the overall state of the markets, and this is the wrong. Okay, so let's go on CoinGecko. Let's look at where we're at as a crypto overall market cap. And it's taking a little bit to load, but here we go. All right. Well, come on. I have a good amount of tabs opened up. Maybe that's what this is. Hopefully the stream isn't lagging. If it is, well, just let me know in chat and I'll see what I can do. Maybe I'll have to close down some of these tabs. I can kind of see myself jumping around. All right, we're sitting at about 3.27 trillion market cap, which is about 2% up on the day. That's good. It's not just Bitcoin either. And in fact, if you're listening to Tim's stream earlier, you would know that Bitcoin dominance has started to go back down. We're back under 60, which is very good for us altcoin holders. Shout out Kaspa. I'll be talking about my favorite altcoin here shortly. And I'll definitely be talking about a lot of the trending altcoins here shortly as well, because we want to know what's going to pump before it pumps. And that's how you get, good price exposure within those gems. So Bitcoin dominance starting to go down. That's good for us altcoin holders. Market cap starting to go up. That's good for us portfolio holders. And then if you're a trader, you could have been crushing it with shorts. Me personally, I don't trade as of yet. I'll be learning that here within the next couple months. And I strongly encourage you guys, if you want to be able to make money also during downwards price action, being able to short is awesome. And we have some exchanges like 2bit that we're partnered with. And yeah, so just quick plug, just definitely look out for those links in the description of these videos. Let's jump into the trending cryptos of the day, because I think, again, these are very important for you to have your head wrapped around and be able to get in early. So we got FIRO, F-I-R-O, also known as Zcoin. So most of you have heard of Zcash, but have you heard of Zcoin? Probably not. And as you can see, it has not done near as well as Zcash as of late, but we're starting to see a resurgence of these privacy cryptocurrencies, and FIRO, F-I-R-O is a ticker, is a privacy-based cryptocurrency. I'm personally not sold on privacy in general, and you would know if you watched my video that dropped yesterday, which is a Zcash deep dive. I did a phenomenal job breaking down Zcash for you guys. And I know this because of the responses that I've gotten. It seemed to clear up, what is this stuff? Where is this niche coming from? Why is it even important? Because privacy, it is important, but it's not some overall technology, some ZK proof technology that's not available on any other blockchain. They just got it adopted, very similar to how Bitcoin was not the first blockchain. It was just the first adopted one. So that's something to consider. In regards to privacy, your best bets are going to be your Zcash and your Monero, but I still don't think those are worth investing in personally, because I think a lot of superior technologies have already integrated ZK proofs into their network, and there's no need for the slower ones. Zcash, for example, is 7 transactions per second. What can you do with that? You know, we're trying to find currencies that the entire world can use, not just a select few people. And then you also have like 20% of the users actually shielding their Zcash, you know, so you wouldn't be able to know who sent what to who about other blockchains. So I strongly encourage you, if you haven't done your research on CAS, start looking into it, because you'll start understanding ZK proofs, for example, is not just relevant in a Zcash type play. You can get them in other layer 1 blockchains. Caldera, again, interoperable play. Think of bridges from Ethereum to like scaling solutions or L2s, for example. There's a lot of efficiencies per se that you lose in the process of bridging. So there's fees, there's different things that you lose some of your crypto on every time you bridge. And I'm actually very much against fragmentation. I'll talk about that here shortly with Ethereum, and Ethereum users are actually against it as well, and we will see if a proposal gets passed. Moving on, Pudgy Penguins, I think is a solid hold. Zcash I just talked about. Aster. This project we haven't really seen yet in a bullish price action market because it only launched a couple months ago. So I still think this project is doing very well. It's holding up much better than most cryptos. It's still pulling in the fees that Hyperliquid are. However, the market cap is 4 times smaller. So I still believe this is a top 3 asymmetric risk in all of crypto right now at these prices. But I think Aster is a solid hold. And we know CZ is an advisor, and you don't want to fade the #1 holder of all crypto. So that's my quick pitch on Aster. Moving on, we got some Bitcoin. That one's trending because everybody wants to know where's Bitcoin headed. Wherever Bitcoin's headed, most likely your alts are going to follow along. Polygon Matic, I'll talk about here shortly. That's going to be because of real world assets. Real world assets have absolutely been crushing it as of the past 2 years. And Polygon Matic is one of the biggest chains out there. So that's really the biggest use case by far for scaling solutions, is real world asset exposure onto scaling solutions. Next up, we got Solana. Solana is going to be trending because a new ETF, which I'll talk about here shortly, has been approved. And it's by a major institution, you know. So definitely strapping for that one. We got SPX 6900, my top 3 favorite meme coin. It's up there with Toshi. I love SPX 6900. The communities are completely different than most meme coin communities. And I like what they're building over there. We got some BitTensor Tau, my favorite AI pick, Ethereum, Plasma XPL. I think somebody asked for a breakdown on Plasma, so I might do a deep dive. To me, like, I'd rather wait for something to break into the top 100. It shows that there's more of a sticky community and a desire to actually see that kind of content, because I mean, it takes a while for me to do. I got to read the white paper, I got to create the content. Sometimes I have to take like 10 hours to create one of these videos, so I don't want to spend too much time on something that's not going to get a lot of exposure. So I'll probably wait a little bit on Plasma. XRP, I love this one. Sui, I love this one. And Hyperliquid, I love this one. So there's some good trending cryptos of the day. Most of those are going to be trending off the boots of... So Bitcoin, the price action's finally rising. And then we got these alts that are finally starting to recover quite a bit. Chainlink is down about 60% from its cycle high, which is pretty big. So even if you're in the right alts this bull market, you would still be down. And that's kind of the unfortunate part. People always ask me, Crux, what is happening with these altcoins? Why are my alts not pumping? Well, it's because Bitcoin's not pumping. And also, alt seasons have not been as prevalent this bull market as compared to all the other bull markets. So as an analyst, that's something that I will admit I did get wrong. 2013, 2017, these bull markets were absolutely crazy for altcoins, especially 2017. If you were around for the blow off top, so Bitcoin peaked in December, alts rallied into February of 2018, and it was insane. In fact, I think XRP for a very split moment actually took the #2 crypto over Ethereum. So it was a whole different space. Alts were pumping. 2021 FTX happens. What happened in this bull market? Essentially no more blow off tops. And then this bull market, if October was a peak, we definitely didn't have a blow off top. It was actually the exact opposite. We didn't even work up towards an alt season for a blow off top. So people are asking me, what do I do? And at this point, I think being in Bitcoin's okay. A lot of people want to try to catch up and, you know, pick the next next biggest L1, like a SUI, or even like a derivative exchange, some hot new play like a Hyperliquid, and try to catch up to the gains that Bitcoin had last cycle. And I'm just telling you, most people, it's probably just smarter to buy Bitcoin. So that's something I've been very bullish on as of late. Is diversification is key, but large caps should be the majority of your portfolio, because if alts are not going to pick up, then we don't want to be holding those. So that's quite a big run that I just had going there. Let's go ahead and check some Q&A, and then I'll jump over into some more news. I got some OGs in the chat. Thank you, says Frederick. Kenny, I'm with you. I hit that pre-sale, we ballin'. Hey, Kenny, maybe soon I'll start learning about those pre-sales a little bit. I'm not completely sold on pre-sales, especially when I like fair launches. You know, you can't be, in terms of peer-to-peer networks, you cannot beat a fair launch. So that's fair, but excuse me. Not all cryptos are trying to be fair. Some people want to, you know, just create the next, I don't know, next blockchain, and that requires a lot of institutional funds. And a lot of them get rich pretty early and they'll start dumping, and it's not exactly fair, but it was needed to fund the developers to create the next best technology. So think of something, for example, something like SUI. You know, they got a lot of startup traction, but it doesn't mean they're going to be the fairest crypto out there. So something to consider is, why are you in crypto? And that's what you should be investing into. Pre-sales are basically against everything that I stand for in crypto. Sharknado says Sol versus Ethereum and Bitcoin. Strong right now, pushing nice. Maybe we can get Bitcoin to play nice for a few weeks. I think that's fair. I mean, it would be nice to be able to go into Thanksgiving dinner and be able to tell our relatives that we're not crazy. You know, we do know this thing is called Bitcoin, and it's done well across the last, you know, decade. But as of late, I'm sure they've seen it on Fox News or CNN that this project or this asset has been slowly slumping. Actually, it's been quickly slumping. And why should I invest into something super volatile? And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to break that stuff down. And I think you guys should have a response ready going into Thanksgiving time to be able to give your relatives that they're going to ask that specific question. Why Bitcoin when it's down 30%? So I'm super bullish. You know, days like today, you see it's green in here, and it's not just so much as the price action. I've been learning so much about crypto, and I'm ready to bring it to you guys over this next, you know, couple months. So smash that like if you haven't already, and make sure you subscribe, because we are bringing the alpha. All right, so Kenny says XCL Mafia in the house. All right. So we got a couple different XCL people. If you haven't seen the poll running over there, if we do the gems, I'll definitely check out XCL. Kenny, I'm with you. Fried, I hit that. Okay, let's move on. Carl says, that was a great video you dropped yesterday. Yeah, appreciate it. So that was all about Zcash, Zcash, Zcash. You hear it everywhere. You see it on Twitter. Your friends are probably talking about it. And Crux, I'm not going to tell you what Crux is because you need to watch it, but I'm telling you, it's fire. It took me quite a bit to actually create that video, but I really I don't leave any stones unturned, and I think that's fair. Most people here don't need to really necessarily understand how the technology works. They need to understand, what does it do? So you don't need to know how to code, or, you know, I talk about recursion, which is like an efficient way to compute things, and it allows you to aggressively go through like lines of code, right? So recursion, very efficient. I learned this in computer science when I was doing my undergrad in it. And that's not something you need to know, but you do need to know what is a ZK proof. And I break it down for you there. And I hope you guys enjoy that. So Daniel, what up? Shout out Gem Hunters. I see a lot of traction going on in the chat with the Gem Hunters. Monad is its own layer 1. It is EVM compatible, so it will connect to the ETH ecosystem, says Sharknado. Crux is not sold on Monad yet. I probably will do a deep dive on that one because I know it's connected to the Base ecosystem, and you guys love Base. I like Base. I don't so much like Ethereum, which is crazy because I know most of you guys are holding Ethereum. They're starting to peg away with the fragmentation process I'll talk about here in a second. And if there's no more questions, well, there's actually quite a bit more questions, but I got to get into the news, or we're going to sit here in Q&A all day, and you guys aren't going to be able to get the alpha. So go ahead and just throw those other questions you have in the Q&A, and right after this segment of news, we will jump right into those questions. So first up, you see follow on X, join Discord. This is important. We got a free Discord server. Almost 4,000 people are in there. So We're in there like swimwear. It's awesome. It's a ton of free content. Even on Fridays, I go live with you guys in a Discord stage session, and it's back and forth. So you're able to jump on a voice chat, talk to Crux, and it's awesome. I learn a lot there. I learn what you guys want from me, and that's what I bring to you guys in these live streams. So make sure you join our Discord. My X is pretty wild, at least of late. It's growing very quickly, and I'll actually go through a post here shortly. But also, let's go back here. Of course, the buttons aren't working. All right, smash that like and hit subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. All right, so fear and greed. This to me is one of the most important things in crypto, especially in terms of dollar cost averaging. As of late, we've been sub 15. Currently, we're at 15. And as you can see, this is about the past year. Actually, no, this is the past. This is going all the way back to about midway through 2023. So this is a coin market cap one. They haven't been keeping it for too long, but as you can see, about 2 times or so per year, you get into that extreme fear. And we are talking like 15 or sub 15. And these historically have been the best times to buy crypto. So as you see Tim's channel, he's constantly talking about the fear and greed index. Warren Buffett said, buy when others are fearful and sell when others are greedy. And this is super important in terms of crypto. If you don't have a plan to sell, you're going to be round tripping your bags most likely. That's something we always talk about, is using your fear and greed and these type of indicators to be able to help you take profits and or DCA. And again, since it's fearful, it's 15, probably better to be buying crypto at these prices. And then as you can see up top, a couple times per year, we get into the extreme greed. That's when Bitcoin was $126,000. So guess what? You could have timed the top if you knew about this indicator. So very important. I love using this thing going forward, and this is just the overall state of the market. So I wouldn't be surprised, especially after this pump, for this to be above 20 to 25 tomorrow. So this thing moves pretty aggressively, and it's always very relevant to near term as opposed to long term. So you can be in a bear market and have like greed as one. You could be in the 60s while you're in a bear market, because yesterday you might have been down way more. So you're up today, it's going to be more greedy. So that's something to consider. Just because it's fearful doesn't mean it's going to go up very soon. So just something to consider. Add that to your DCA strategy. Big story of the day. We got Brian Armstrong here, the CEO of Coinbase. Coinbase is the first crypto-based company to get actually listed into the S&P 500, which is absolutely massive. They are just outside the top 15. I think they might actually be in the top 15 currently in centralized exchanges for trading activity. So they're pushing the way for regulation. It's nice to see it here in North America. And yeah, so what they've done is recently they went on their Twitter, on their banner, in their bio rather, and they put December 17th. So it's an eerie date. People were like, what's happening on December 17th? The first thing I thought was Base token. Probably an announcement for Base token. A lot of people think the same thing, and there isn't too much clarification on what's happening on December 17th, but we know Coinbase has something big. And just today, we had Brian Armstrong said our first project showcase event is happening. We've built a lot of cool new projects and excited to show you what is next. So Coinbase, they're absolutely crushing it. I have an account on Coinbase. I've never had any issues. And the only thing that I would much rather I would appreciate is they listed more projects. Hint, hint. I don't know where Kaspa is, but I mean, Kaspa once broke into the top 30 and they did not list it. So, you know, some of these centralized exchanges I'm still up in the air about. A lot of stuff they do is nice, but not everything. So we'll leave it at that and we'll move on. So I talked earlier about Ethereum. Fragmentation is the word of the day. And tomorrow you'll learn more about it because I'll drop my deep dive on the update that's happening on Kaspa's ecosystem. So Kaspa is releasing something soon, and it's going to talk about fragmentation. So you might be asking, what exactly is fragmentation? So within a layer 1 blockchain, you have Ethereum, for example. Whenever they have a scaling solution, such as an Arbitrum, an OP, or something like this, they have to bridge the liquidity, right? So this is where you're going to have an issue. Instead of people buying Ethereum, they're going to come over here and they're going to buy Arbitrum, Optimism, and all these other things to support this network. However, we know that Ethereum did not get into, well, They've already announced they're going to do it. And it's like, you guys don't need your own token. Just settle with Ethereum, and then your quote unquote, your use case is governance and gas. Like, Base has already proven that you don't need a native token for gas. Just use USDC, use Ethereum, use native tokens, even built on ERC20. So that's my big pet peeve right now on fragmentation. It has corrupted the EVM ecosystem, and I'm not a big fan of currently what I'm seeing right now, but there's a lot of people that are in the ecosystem that agree with me. So whenever a lot of people agree within an ecosystem, especially for governance, they propose things. So we see Ethereum makes an all-out push to unify L2s in Ethereum interoperability layer. So Vitalik Buterin, he's been very vocal that he thinks scaling solutions are required. This has always been a part of his roadmap for scaling Ethereum. And just to quickly summarize this post, we have the Ethereum Foundation shared a new proposal that could alter how L2s and users interact, eliminating the intermediaries. Very important. The initiative is being led by Ethereum Foundation, blah, 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 blah. And the proposal contains a framework known as EIL, so that's the Ethereum interoperability layer, and is approved, and if it is approved, could drive existing L2 middlemen out of business. So the Ethereum Foundation has announced a newly proposed framework named the Ethereum interoperability layer, also known as EIL, and is aimed at addressing the seemingly never-ending fragmentation, the keyword I just said there, that has become a headache for Ethereum L2 ecosystems in the search of throughput and affordability. So right now, we have a very, I'm not going to say inefficient. So Ethereum, what they did is they created smart contracts. They were early. They were a front runner. Everybody jumps into their ecosystem. They have this issue with scaling and fees. It's expensive. So networks like Solana come and take their users. But the first mover advantage is there's no better reason to buy a crypto than the first user advantage, or the first to market. So Bitcoin, first to market. Ethereum smart contracts, first to market. Chainlink, Oracle, first to market. Kaspa, DAG, first to market. Always, even Zcash privacy, first to market. These are what you should probably be investing into, not financial advice, but always, you know, what I appreciate in crypto is we have an evolving asset class that is getting better and better and better. And when you have networks or users that could continue to just focus on that one network and not forget to evolve, I feel like over time you're going to bleed out. And this even, honestly, to me, this exists within Bitcoin too. It's a risk to reward. It's your safest bet. And you know, if you go into a bear winter, you're going to survive. All right, let's move on to the next story. We have Fidelity, which Fidelity Investments launches a Solana ETF on NYSE ARCA under the ticker FSOL. So Fidelity, you have one of the biggest asset managers in the world. I want to say they're top 7. They're up there with, well, that's a bold claim. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think they're top 7, possibly. I mean, they're definitely going to be up there with the Vanguard, State Streets, BlackRocks, and yeah. So I mean, they're very big. And something very important to note is, why does this matter? We have institutions that are buying Solana 15 days in a row since the very first ETF launched. I covered it on my live stream, actually, the day. And they actually, I believe, had a similar launch to Ethereum in terms of fees recorded in the first 24 hours. But we know that Ethereum's market cap is like 3 or 4 times larger. So Solana is doing extremely well in terms of the ETF inflow. You see BSOL, which is Bitwise. You see VSOL, which is VanEck. You see a Grayscale one, which went from a trust to an ETF, which is GSOL. And now we got Fidelity in the house. So the institutions are all over Solana. It is the VC coin of last bull market. That's one of the only tokens that show up this bull market too. So most cryptos like a Polygon Matic did very well last bull market, and then forgot, you know, what it's supposed to do apparently, and it didn't do well this bull market. So I like Solana. I'm continuing to hold my Solana, very bullish on it overall. And if you have some Solana, throw some S's in chat. So Solana, I know you guys are going to be bullish on this one as well. Moving on, we got some Ondo. Shout out Tim for posting this earlier. We got Ondo secures full EU approval to expand tokenized stocks and ETFs to 30 plus markets across Europe. So that's the issue with Ondo currently is they're very focused on the institutions, which is cool, but I would like some exposures as a retail customer. There's no products yet. Even as an American, there are no products yet. So Ondo, you're still figuring it out, which is cool. You know, take your time, figure out the regulations of this. We're talking about real world assets. We're talking about tokenized real estate. We're talking about tokenized treasuries, bonds, and all these things, these tools. You need to be in line with what the regulators are saying before they come after you. But or key part of the sentence, up nearly 4x in the last 2 years. So RWAs are off and running. These aren't going to start going down. Even if we go into bear winter, tokenized real estate is going to keep going up. Tokenized assets are going to keep going up. We're going to start figuring out how to tokenize more gold, all of these things. And if you see the top RWA issuers, these are the biggest ones in the world. You got BlackRock, you have Paxos, Tether, Exodus, Ondo, shout out Ondo, Franklin Templeton, another massive company, or hedge fund manager rather. And then some of the networks, as you could see earlier with the network effect under Ethereum, it's not just Ethereum. You also got the ZK Sync, which is Ethereum. You got the Polygon, which is Ethereum, Arbitrum, Ethereum. And that's why Ethereum is not getting left behind. They're tokenizing stuff. Their DeFi is absolutely insane, the Uniswaps and Aaves of the world. And the world is not yet ready to get rid of Ethereum. So yes, it's slow. Yes, it's expensive. I still appreciate it as an asset. I think it's going to do well. It paved the way for cryptos like Kaspa, for example. But the Ethereum virtual machine is becoming inefficient. However, it's not very important for a network like this, like a real world asset type use case, to have extremely high throughput. If anything, we need security to be more important than scalability. So not every crypto has to be scalable, decentralized, and secure. If you're proof of work, or if you're a peer-to-peer network, yes, you do. Other than that, you can sacrifice parts to the trilemma all you want, and we know where Ethereum has chosen to sacrifice. So shout out all you Ethereum holders out there. Shout out all you Ondo holders out there. We are showing a lot of momentum. As you can see, the past 4 years, we've done very well in on-chain activity. And I want to give a special shout out to Avalanche. A lot of people have been sleeping on Avalanche, but this price action, ever since September of this year, they've been tokenizing everything. So at the beginning of this year, they would not have made this list over here on the top left or over here in the middle. Like they would have had less than even XRP Ledger in terms of real world asset. And in a single month, they doubled their holdings in September of this year, and it pushed them up to a top 5, top 6 at this point. So shout out Avalanche. If you're holding some Avalanche, you should get rewarded for doing so. So my hands are diamond and I'm not letting go of my assets. All right, let's do a little bit more. All right, so we'll take a quick look at this one. I'll actually let Trump and this gentleman here walk you through it, but America, we're starting to get a little more liquidity flowing our way. Here we go.
And today and tomorrow we're going to announce that we are going to increase that $600 billion to almost $1 trillion of investment, real investment and real opportunity by details in many areas. And the agreement that we are signing today in many areas in technology, in AI, in rare earth materials, magnet, etc., that will create a lot of investment opportunities.
So you are doing that now. You're saying to me now that the 600 billion will be 1 trillion.
Definitely, because what we are signing, it will facilitate that, and
I like that very much.
All right, so markets are slowing down a little bit. We got a little recovery today. You see it on the thumbnail, but we're still securing those partnerships. Crypto is still rolling. I don't care if we go into bear winter. We go down 50, 60, 70%. I am here building, and that is super important. Understand your purpose. Understand why you're here. In the United States, we're not only securing the most Bitcoin. Just last week, I covered a huge article where 120,000 Bitcoin from China was seized by us. So we are clearly the front runners. We're closing in on 500,000 Bitcoin as a country. And this modern day space race isn't it. We are securing beast partnerships from the Middle East, and I love to see it. So Donald Trump, keep doing what you're doing because the markets are appreciating it. All right. Quick intermission for today's sponsor. We got NordVPN. So this is a Black Friday deal going on. You know, I have my link in the description below, but let me walk you through why this is super important. So With VPNs, you're allowed to hide where your current location is. And let me show you how simple this is. If you use my link below, you click that button I just showed you. On the 2-year plans and the 1-year plans, you have the opportunity to save 60%, 63, 64, all the way up to 78%. So we have some very good Black Friday deals going on with NordVPN. And it's also cool because they have a password locker. So if you're tired of trying to keep all your different passwords on all these different websites that are telling you you have to have 12 words, you have to have 15 words, you have to use a character, this, that, and the third, this password locker is super effective for helping you through all of your issues that you're having with keeping control of your passwords. And I definitely use this all the time. I love NordVPN, and thank you for supporting today's channel because we are moving on to better things. All right. So let's check one last article and then we'll move on to Q&A session. So this is a viral post that I had, and it says Kaspa's vision started over a decade ago. ZEC, which is a ticker for Zcash, starts pumping and everyone wants to be cypherpunks again. Binance asked for $42 million worth of Kaspa tokens to get listed and list Green Frog tokens that dropped yesterday. They don't really care about cypherpunks. So again, another viral post that I got. Shout out Kaspa for pushing through on Twitter and sharing this. I'm gonna tell these exchanges what I really think. You know, I am at this point, I live, breathe, and eat crypto. And Binance, if you're sitting here lying and saying, you know, everything that's important to crypto, we're gonna make sure you get recognized, we're gonna make sure you get listed, then I'm gonna call you out on it. So CZ, I'm waiting on your response. I would love to see it. But if you're asking for $42 million to get listed, then you don't care about cypherpunks. Why are you posting this? To me, it makes no sense. Bring back cypherpunks. This is just off the heels of Zcash. You know, Zcash is being ran by the institutions. We have Grayscale. We have, what was the other one? So there's Grayscale. I know Barry Silbert invested personally as an angel investor. You have... it was another huge venture capital. Anyways, millions of dollars flooded into this thing, making it not so much a fair launch as which they actually market themselves as a fair launch crypto project. So, you know, in terms of cypherpunks, I don't even think Zcash really fits the narrative, but I'll give it to them. And as far as Binance, you are far from being cypherpunk. So I'm gonna call you out every time I see you post stuff like this. Stop posting like this. Stop posting like this. You don't actually appreciate what hard work is and the OGs in the community that are here to fight for what we believe in. All right. That was my quick little ramble on Binance. What are y'all doing? Let's move on to some Q&A. Okay. Good amount of questions going. Also, the polls firing off. It was very close on fundamental news and price action, what you guys want to see. Portfolio picks is not feeling so big. And then also low cap gems is also, you know, failing to pick up some momentum. All right. ATH, any thoughts? Says Laurenson, I think it is. Aether, I love Aether. I think Aether is actually a top 4 AI pick. So I got Render, I got Tau. Well, okay, so let's go in order. Tau is the best AI pick, and it's because subnets. Subnets allow you to do basically anything all these other ones I'm about to talk about can do. So second best is Render, or I'm going with Virtuals. Virtuals allows you to do AI agents. Think of like AI XBT. They have a lot of different AI agents that you're able to create that actually make your lives more seamless. And I think it's definitely a very important part for the next era of our lives. It's like a digital helper per se. So I like to see what Virtuals is doing as a launch pad. And also there's quite a bit of like high net worth there's a lot of big investors that are part of the Virtuals. And then also Render as well. I think Render has the best partnerships in all of AI in terms of AI cryptos. And it's mainly because of Jules, who was one of the founders, and his relationship with a lot of the big names out there, such as NVIDIA. So those are going to be my top 3 picks. Aether is going to be right there at number 4. And that's because of their momentum that came before crypto. So they already built up a lot before crypto started. They migrate over here to the Web3, and then Aether has absolutely crushed it. You have over 400,000 active GPUs over there, crushing it. So they're very competitive with their fees, and I love to see what they're doing with the decentralized cloud infrastructure. All right, Daniel says, yes, it's like an IPO. Not sure what you're talking about there, Daniel. Hmm. Okay, so Sharknado said, Daniel, you think Coinbase won't let this launch fail because they're first? So, yeah, so then Daniel's saying, yes, it's like an IPO. And then he also says, I need Kita to buy me some more turkey. So shout out everybody that's celebrating Thanksgiving. You know, this is a holiday I look forward to every single year. Getting together with family. And don't forget your purpose, y'all. It is to spread the word of crypto. Forget about the turkey. Forget about the ham. Forget about the mac and cheese. Get in there and tell your family the good about Bitcoin. So, all right. Tony Rojas. Yo, what up, Crux? Hey, what up, Tony? Bedridden in the house. Shout out Bedridden. He's an OG. He's been here since day one. Myself, Tim, Shroom. Years ago, we were moving markets over there. In the bear market, Bitcoin was 15K. And we're telling you to buy at 15K. So can't tell you we didn't tell you. And Bedridden, he was there. So OG right there. Shout out, big member of our community. I love Coinbase. Yeah, I also wish they listed more coins. Yeah, I think we all do. They're taking the safe regulatory approach. But again, what's more safe than Kaspa? I don't know. All right. It's let Sol gain some ground. Maybe. Okay, that's a tough. Much of my holdings, and I was yeah, I had like, I want to say I was buying Solana at like sub 20 if I'm not mistaken. I was getting extremely good prices on that one, and I bought a good amount of it. In fact, I actually bought some and I forgot about it. I put like $4,000 in Solana, like sub 20, and I completely forgot about it. And like 8 months later, I look at it and I'm like, oh snap, I forgot about this. So that's pretty cool. Solana was one of my biggest gainers. I didn't even know. Top 5 gaming tokens would be a great video, says Daniel. I could already tell you 3 off the cuff. 3 off the cuff. You're going to have Beam. I mean, are we including Avalanche? If we're including Avalanche as a gaming token, which I think should, because their C chain is super compatible for gaming, I'm going Avalanche 1. Number 2 is Beam. I like what Beam is doing. And honestly, Beam and Avalanche both have partnerships, and they're very interoperable. And then 3, I'm going with Superverse. So shout out all you super holders. That is a low cap over there. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. I've talked about it many times, and I think the integrations that they have built for the gaming ecosystems is awesome. Thoughts on Sui says, in the moment. Yeah, so Sui, ever since the Cetus hack, had issues. It's had major issues trying to recover. It's trying to find its identity still. So what happened is you got these ex-meta engineers from Facebook. They create DM. Facebook gets hit with regulatory scrutiny. So they go and they form Miston Labs. Miston Labs creates their layer 1 blockchain called Sui. Technically Sui, SWEEE is basically how you say it, Sui. And their move programming language is what they brought to the table. So we have something to finally compete with Rust. That's cool. But when they're trying to create DeFi, they're trying to create gaming, they have handheld consoles, they have all this stuff. In my opinion, they're doing way too much. I would like for them to slow down a little bit. But when you're building like parallel layers, like using Walrus for your security, using ICA for your scalability, like you are doing so much so quickly. This is just your first bull market. So again, whenever I say it's cool to invest or allow early insiders to invest into projects, this is what you get. You get a very fast, and sometimes you bring stuff to market, which is dope. And sometimes it plays out. So I have high expectations for Sui, but I also understand there's a lot of people that made a lot of money and their tokens are vesting. So as these people get their tokens, they dump it, and that's fair. I mean, they took the risk, they got in early, and they're going to dump. So, and if you look at the exploit with Cetus, I think that wiped out what a lot of people had plans for. All the meme coins were gone. So the hippos, the blubs, all that stuff is gone. We're talking 80, 90%, 100% gone. And that was just from one exploit. So I'm not going to say that. And this is what happens whenever you move fast and break stuff. So that's what Ethereum does. The opposite was Cardano. So Cardano's super slow, and you need a fine medium because Cardano never ended up taking off. It's just too slow. I like Cardano, but got to be real with you. And then Ethereum, move fast, break stuff. You get all these exploits. So all the hacks happen on Ethereum VM. Sui is kind of following Ethereum's path. even I'd appreciate Solana if Sui went more like Solana's approach. So Solana, even though the network went down, they were at least not getting hacked every 2 seconds. That's fair. So overall, I'm still very bullish on Sui. I think it's probably one of the best risk to rewards to hold. I would like to see it go through a bear market at least. But yeah, I'm waiting for a major pullback on that one as well. You know anything about Simple AI? I don't know about that project at all. I'm pretty sure it's a project. Maybe I've never heard of it. I try not to steer outside like the top 500. So now if Simple AI is trying to do one of these three things, because this is what I'm thinking, AI in its current phase, large language models, GPU platforms, and AI agents. If it's one of these use cases, there's potential. So I'll give you that. Always understand who's the vision, who's the visionary, what is the team, who are the partnerships, what do the tokenomics look like. There's so much that goes into breaking down projects, and that's what I do in the Discord, especially with the gem hunters. If you guys ever have any questions, just make sure you just ask in the Discord. There's a hashtag crypto channel that I definitely get back to you guys on there as well. But for now, I don't know anything about Simple AI, and I'm not going to look into it on stream. All right, super. Yep, Darrow, I did say super. IMX, so Immutable X. It's tough. Like, I had a good amount of this last bull market. It was definitely the gaming pick last bull market. There's a lot that just kind of fell off. You have the Manas, the Sandboxes, the Decentralands, the Axie Infinities, the Galas, IMX. Like, there's a ton that just did not come to play this round. And IMX is definitely one that I would not have in my top 5. So, I mean, they've built a good amount, but remember, sometimes the longer crypto has, the worse it has off. You know, it's like sometimes you want the crypto to do well early and show momentum, right? Survive that bear market and show me something the second round. And a lot of times we don't get that. Any thought on Chainlink going live with Swift in a week, Crux, says Darrow. So we're talking about probably the most interoperable pick in all of crypto, a Chainlink, which allows you to bring real world data onto blockchains. Very important use case. If not, it's a top 3 use case currently in its purest form. So I'm a big fan of Chainlink. I hold a good amount of Chainlink. I'm not super big on technical, so if I see it go, like, if it didn't hit $55, I'm not going to go and sell everything. It didn't get a new all-time high. It got to like 35, I think, this cycle, and that's okay. You know, I'm a believer in long-term visionaries, and I think Sergey Nazarov, he's in there with the politicians. He's shaking hands in Washington. I'm a very big believer in Chainlink. Going live with Swift. Yeah, so I don't think it's honestly that important. I know it sounds very weird, but Swift has a lot of different blockchains that they've been experimenting with, such as HBAR, and all those blockchains use Chainlink. So it's not like HBAR is going to get some crazy amount of just new user activity because they're going live with Swift. But I do think that there will be some sort of ISO 2022 pump. Just like, I mean, last year with the Gary Gensler resignation, all the XLMs, Cardanos, XLM, XRPs, Cardanos, all the ISO tokens pumped together. So it was pretty dope to see that. I could see that happening again with some kind of Swift update. But remember, Swift is not going to be replaced. Swift is updating its technology with its, you know, its FedNow partnership with America and these types of things to adopt blockchain technologies. So we have XRP, who is looking to compete. They are not partnering with Swift, and I think that's very important. Is for the first time we have a new challenger that actually has some credibility. So I like XRP, I like HBAR, I like Chainlink, and those are definitely pioneers to the space. Each have their own framework, which is dope as well. I don't like copy and paste cryptos. I'll tell you that. So if you're just using EVM and you're just creating some new L1, I'm not rocking with you. All right, so Aaron says, hoping the Clarity Act will get passed this year, but looks like the government is more interested in the Epstein files. Yeah, I mean, that's what the American people want. We want to know about the Epstein files. Americans don't care about the Clarity Act. I mean, honestly, like I care about it because I'm a crypto guru, but most people don't, and that's a good thing. You know, this thing is eventually going to gain traction. We're here early. We're going to get it at the low prices. And by the time the Americans actually care about the Clarity Act, we'll already have our bags packed. So packed accordingly. I don't think the Clarity Act will be passed this year either, and I don't think it's a big deal either. So as long as Donald Trump is president, I think that thing's going to get passed. So within the next 3 years, and that's okay. It doesn't need to be rushed to market. Also, if we are in a bear market, why would you? Yeah. So there's a ton of big updates that happened last bear market, and it sucked because all of that bullish price catalyst that should have happened didn't happen because it got soaked up. So that's something else that's important to note is if we are in a bear market, we don't want the Clarity Act to get passed. We want that to be during a bull market. Michael says, what do you think about Avantis? So Avantis, I believe, is a top 15. Let's check. A top 15 maybe by trader user activity. For DEX perps, let's check DeFi Llama and go to perp dexes. This one's built on the base network. Maybe I'll go metrics. They kind of switch this up on me. Control F, perp volume by protocol, and then we will let's Control F again, and we'll look up AVNT. It's not going down. All right, maybe we'll have to scroll down. So we got some Hyperliquid, Aster, etc. I'm not seeing it. Did it get kicked out? No, there it is. Top 15. Boom. Crux called it. Number 15, we're sitting at just under 400 mil in the past 24 hours in perp volume. So that's not, clearly that's not the most, but the cool part about this is it is the base ecosystem and people are migrating towards there. But to put this into comparison, y'all, we are sitting at $9 billion perp dexes, Hyperliquid, Lighter's a new kid on the block. Aster is a new kid on the block. So this is where a lot of the trading activity is happening is all these centralized exchanges, they're requiring KYC. They're following the government's, for the most part, a lot of governments are not allowing users to actually trade with high leverage, but Hyperliquid allows you to do 100x, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, they have 500x on some of their tokens. So they may not have the most trading pairs. Like Hyperliquid probably only has like 50 trading pairs, but they have an insane amount of volume. So they'll have a lot of Bitcoin you can long and short. And Avantis, for the risk to reward, I think is okay. I hold AVNT. You know, you're just taking a bet on is base gonna continue to gain adoption on that pick. So we know Jesse Pollock and Brian Armstrong have both mentioned it, and those are two of the biggest names in base ecosystem. So Crux spots them. All right, let's answer a couple more questions, and we'll move on to the last segment of news. All right, we got some more S holders. I see S is popping up in chat. The issue, what is the issue with Ondo's price action? Mikhail, I'll tell you this. Ondo, of all real-world asset plays, has shown me the most momentum other than maybe Avalanche. So Avalanche and Ondo, by far, in the past 2 quarters of this year, have shown the most momentum. So Avalanche mainly through like its partnerships and its treasuries, gaining a lot of funds there. They had like $1 billion raise back in September, if I'm not mistaken. But then Ondo Global Markets overtook X stocks or whatever from Solana. So currently Ondo has the best markets to invest in with stocks, tokenized stocks. We're talking Tesla, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, all the hottest stocks. Even they're pushing. I don't know if Ondo is. I know X stock, if I'm not mistaken, already has tokenized shares of private companies, which is crazy. So people are getting exposure to OpenAI before they go public. So OpenAI is a $500 billion company we can't even invest into, but have partnerships with, I believe, Meta, if I'm not mistaken. I know for a fact Google, Apple, all like the Fang 7 have partnerships with OpenAI. This is a new kid on the block, and it's private. So at least with tokenized shares from X stock, we have exposure to this stuff. And Ondo is leading the way for at least publicly traded stocks, which is cool. So I don't think it's time to sell Ondo, not even for a second. Proppy time, real world asset for mortgages, says Daniel. Shout out Proppy if you own some Proppy. It's one of my favorite beta plays. I think like tokenizing mortgages is dope. You can have multiple people paying off on them. So you can have roommates, for example, or multiple people helping you pay off that mortgage, and then eventually becomes yours. And also, it's good for Airbnb and things. So you can go in, buy a house with somebody, and you can collect revenue over time, passive revenue. Also, you could borrow against your real estate. That's why tokenization of real estate is super important, because people don't want to sell their assets. They just want to borrow against them. Is it risky? Sure. If you get called and you don't have any collateral to be able to take care of it, then you will lose your house. So not financial advice, but borrowing against assets is how a lot of the rich people climb to fame. Aaron says, good afternoon. Good Tuesday afternoon. Good afternoon, Aaron. Deru says, been buying Avalanche and Morpho, and of course, Link, Ethereum, Bitcoin. I need to get out of some projects. Yeah, so I've been doing portfolio reviews as of late. Again, not financial advice, but I put myself in your shoes, and then I tell you guys what I would do in your situation. Very important, because a lot of people have been coming to me, hey, Crux, I got 20 different cryptocurrencies. I got 30, I got 50. What do I do? Most of my projects are down 60, 70%. Should I sell at a loss and push them into a Chainlink or an Ondo or an XRP, Solana? And that's something that is always going to be dependent on the user and also the project itself. Not all these projects are going to be able to survive a bear winter. So if you're holding a lot of these altcoins, expect them to go to zero. I know it sounds crazy and sounds harsh, but that's the only way that you're going to mentally survive in crypto. It's tough here. A lot of these things have competition. Cardano goes through a bull market, gets to 310, then gets back up. It's like, if you hold a crypto indefinitely, it doesn't mean you're going to get your return. There's so much competition in this space. So we should be fighting against fragmentation. Allow Ethereum to thrive. Stop creating all these tokens on the Ethereum network. All right. So I see a lot more questions pouring in. I'll do one more question. We'll move on to my last segment of news, and then we'll wrap it up with a last segment of Q&A and go on about our day. Ondo just went into the UK yesterday. Yeah, I pulled that article up earlier, Crypto Sharknado. I crushed Proppy in 23-24, got some good gains. Is the stream stopped, or is it just me, says B-Ball? I've been having some issues, so I would not be surprised if it's me. So hopefully it's doing a little bit better now. All right, let's move on to a last segment of, actually there's quite a bit to talk about. Already talked about that. We went through that, talked about that. All right, Kaspa video, this drops tomorrow. So if you have some Kaspa, put KK in chat, just 2 Ks. If you throw a third K, you're getting banned. KK for Kaspa Conquers. If you're holding some Kaspa, put them in chat. This video drops tomorrow. My favorite project in all of crypto, I'm gonna tell y'all, I learned so much about this project. And again, I'm not trying to hype it up. I'm not really so much a developer, I'm an analyst. And the reason I learned so much about crypto is I see what other cryptos are doing, and I compare them what this crypto here is doing. Because what they're doing is they're taking the best of every world. So ZK proofs from Zcash, that's like the hot narrative. All these cypherpunks are coming out of the woodworks, Bitcoin whales. Kaspa is going to be implementing that. Proof of work, Kaspa implemented that. We actually have something called vProgs, which is groundbreaking. We're talking about something that's never been created in crypto that's supposed to replace most smart contracts. Groundbreaking. So smart contracts, we all know Ethereum, you are doing very well. You took Nick Szabo's idea and you got it integrated into your digital ledger. vProgs is essentially it has the ability to do what most smart contracts do, not all, but what most smart contracts do off the chain and then settle on chain. So these verified programs are insane, and I break it down tomorrow. You don't want to miss it. Moving on. So we got just quick little update on rate cuts. We're about 50-50 on if we're going to get one in December. Honestly, I don't even think this is market moving news anymore. Most of us are at this point numb in terms of rate cuts. We've just talked about it the entire year. So why would December mean so much? Now, if there's a possibility of a 50 basis point decrease, I think it would be worth really focusing on or honing in on. But if if we do get a rate cut or if we don't get a rate cut in December. I don't think it's that important. But if you're a betting man, you can go and bet on Polymarket, and those are the odds. You're at 50-50. You can make a good amount of money betting on that. But again, who knows? Anything can happen at any moment and shift those odds. Next up, we have a little bit of Aave news. I'm very bullish on Aave. Aave is a top 5 holding of mine, and it really did that because it held up much better than most cryptos. So Aave Labs is launching some consumer savings apps on Apple App Store, offering up to 9% annual yield, $1 million in insurance, and then supporting up to 12,000 plus banks. This is awesome. So we got DeFi that's integrating into the real world, allowing you to get competitive yields. 9% is insanely good. Plus you have the insurance. And this is going to be definitely something I break down in. I was supposed to get that transition a little better. My Aave versus Uniswap video. So if you hold Aave or Uniswap, pick which one you think is going to win. Yes, they're two different projects in a sense. You have, a borrowing and lending platform, and then you have a decentralized exchange. But these are the two biggest plays by total value lock built on Ethereum's ecosystem, and two of the most interoperable plays in all of crypto. So Crux is going to break it down for you, and I'm going to pick one. If you can only hold one of these, is it Aave? Is it Uniswap? Put it in the comments and let me know. And we'll move on to the next one because we don't have much time. This right here is going to be more or less a caution, right? So Andrew Tate, he got hyper liquidated. And, I'm just using this as an example. So Andrew Tate deposited a total of almost 750K to hyper liquid, and he lost it all. So it's very important to understand leverage trading. Be careful. Please only leverage trade what you're willing to lose, and also use stop losses, please. Right? So that's something we teach in our academy. Myself, Tim, Shroom, we created this academy to help you guys understand not only how to navigate markets, but I teach how to build that perfect portfolio. And then T-Shroom teaches you how to break down macro news. And if you're able to put all this together, you can do very well in these markets. And hopefully you won't end up like what Andrew Tate here, losing 750K in a very short amount of time, gets hyper liquidated, which is very interesting because he was talking about a $20,000 Bitcoin. So why is he getting liquidated as the price is going down? I don't know. Maybe, always trust what they're doing and not what they're saying is fair enough. All right. And then last little plug, I've been dropping some heat lately. Zcash had dropped yesterday. So if you're looking for something to watch after this live stream, check out my Zcash video. I break it down for you. Also, there's a video up there on how I'm going to acquire my next Bitcoin. Very important. I always plan ahead. And the smartest people in crypto always think one cycle ahead. So always put that into your bag and remember that. I'm already thinking about 2026, 2027, all the way up to 2029. 2026 to 2029. That's where my mind's at. All this near-term price action that's going to happen in 2025, it's already calculated. If it goes down, it's part of the plan, right? I have another plan to accumulate more in that case. So I'm actually happy if the price goes down because I'm saving that dry powder and I'm able to buy the good quality projects at a discount. So always think opposite of your emotions. Don't continuously refresh your price or your portfolio because you're going to beat yourself up when doing so. So let's do a last little segment of Q&A and we will lead out. All right. Dang, we got a lot of Aave people in here. We got wrong again with Aave. Well, okay, we got a lot of Ks in chat too. I don't see any triple Ks, so nobody's going to get kicked today. That's good. All right. Hopefully I don't get kicked off YouTube. What up, bro? Says wrong again with his Aave pick. Kenny says Uniswap. All right, so okay. We got Kenny. We got wrong again. Which side are y'all choosing? Again, Kenny got Uniswap. Wrong again got Aave. To be fair, wrong again says both in all caps, so he's not completely sold on any one of them. Crypto Sharknado says Uni has integrated to Sol. Aave will be the next, in my opinion, in some version. They have ties to Camino. Yeah, so Camino is a top 3 application built on Solana. So yeah, both of those picks are huge in terms of, just allocation and what, or my allocation, and also what I think personally. So they are awesome. Hopefully Aerodrome outdoes Aave and Uni. Is Airdrome a better asymmetric play than Aave and Uni? That's a close one. I think Airdrome's going to be stifled with a base token if they do talk about this on December 17th. And I know that sucks because I hold a good amount of Airdrome. But again, just like I said, fragmentation exists. You don't get to have one crypto ecosystem doing well without taking from another. So if Base is thriving, all that liquidity was taken from Ethereum's ecosystem, and that's how fragmentation works. Then that's why Ethereum did not break past $5,000. It's because all these L2s are like parasites. I'd be interested in you looking at my portfolio, says Frederick. Yeah, so it's part of one of our memberships. Down, you'll see WAP memberships. In fact, we have a Black Friday deal going on. I'm not going to announce the code yet this live stream. I'll announce it next live stream. So definitely stay tuned Thursday. But we have Black Friday deal going on with our memberships, and it's going to be our annual one. I just got the green flag to be able to actually say this to you guys. So definitely stick around for those. And yeah, so the gem membership, the gem hunters rather, has a one-on-one portfolio audits. The essentials, which is the lowest one, I'll review portfolios as a group, and usually I do about 3 a week on Mondays. So just yesterday I did one actually, which is pretty cool, with one of our OGs in the community. Aave says Michael. So it looks like Aave is the winner. We have more Aave holders in this chat. Duro says, I've been hammering into AVAX. Hope it is a winner. Been buying and selling since last cycle. Yeah, I think Avalanche has a lot of room to grow. I like that they honed in on the gaming and the real world asset niche, but also their subnets are, capable to run anything they want to run. I'm not a big fan of their decentralization, how expensive it is to run the nodes, but it is what it is. That's not going to make or break. B-Ball says, generally I like both Aave and Uni, but I don't own either. Oh, interesting. You don't own any Aave or Uni. Feels like I missed the boat on both of them. So I would say you haven't missed the boat yet. Definitely wait for my video. I'm going to drop the Aave versus Uni next week, probably closer to Thanksgiving. So you guys have a little bit of stuff to, maybe you're on a plane flight or something, or getting ready to fly out. You have some kind of content or entertainment to keep you busy, because we're going to tell our families about crypto. That's what Thanksgiving is for. We're flying to our families and we're telling them about Bitcoin. And so that's what I'm here for. Kenny, I do like both but I have to choose one. Yeah, honestly, I don't know yet. I'll be completely frank with you guys. I hold both Aave and Uniswap. I don't know which one I'd hold. So that's what this video is for, is to break it down to you guys. And honestly, whenever I do these deep dives, I learn so much about these projects, and I retain like 70% of the information. So on all of these verse videos, like I did Astra versus Hyperliquid, AVAX versus Sui, like most of these are hitting like 5,000 views, which is crazy for a channel my size. So you guys are loving the verse style series, but I learned so much, and that's why I like doing them. Is not just for the views. It is because I learn. And then through live streams, I'm able to tell you guys, because I retain about 70% of what I learned from that stuff. And it all goes out in these live streams. So Sharknado says, only solid money-making projects. Don't feed your family meme coins. Hey, SPX 6900 Toshi, I'm just saying, Toshi has a better looking chart than all your favorite coins. I'm talking about Ondo, Chainlink, all the SPX 6900 and Toshi. Look at their charts, compare them, you'll see. Yeah, don't tell your family about these ones. Maybe Dogecoin. I like Dogecoin. Just tell them Elon Musk has a token, he created it, and you should buy it to become a trillionaire. Tell them that. But say no, not financial advice, of course. All right, same. I missed the boat on Aave. Okay, so a lot of people say you guys believe you missed the boat. I don't think you guys understand completely how powerful these applications are. We are talking $35 billion worth of liquidity in DeFi with only less like 1% of the world that actually owns crypto. So if crypto does come to be, and we have 10, 15, 20% of the population that goes into these applications, Aave's not going to lose its first mover advantage. Uniswap's not going to lose its place. We're talking 300 billion $500 billion worth of liquidity that's going to be flowing into these applications. So you're not early, or you're not late rather. You're right on time. So I'm gonna leave you guys with that. I see a lot of questions coming in. You know, I will catch you guys on Thursday. I have a lot going on this week. Stay tuned. You'll see my Uni versus Aave video on Friday or next week, midweek, a little bit before Thanksgiving. But tomorrow, you'll see my Kaspa video, which I'm about to go record, and that's why I'm wearing the shirt. So all you holders of Kaspa that showed your Ks and your support in chat, I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you guys on Thursday. Peace.